Before a UFC fight, fighters are a sight to behold. With their intense training regimens and razor-sharp focus, they are ready to unleash hell in the octagon. Their muscles are toned and bulging, their eyes are gleaming with determination, and they carry themselves with the confidence of a true champion. But before a brutal UFC fight, the scene is a little different. The fighters look like they've been through the ringer, and it's not hard to see why. Their faces and bodies are often swollen from the punches and kicks they took, with cuts and bruises dotting their skin like a roadmap of the battle they just fought. Join us as we take a journey through the 5 most violent and intense battles that wore the fighters so much. Number 5. Mark Hunt vs. Antonio Bigfoot Silva, UFC 193. The heavyweight bout between Mark Hunt and Antonio Silva was the main event of UFC Night 33. Both fighters engaged each other for 25 minutes, refusing to go down. It was both a slugfest and a bloodbath. The match was a back-and-forth battle, with each fighter getting turns where they nearly finished off the opponent. The fight was even in the first 3 rounds, with Hunt attempting his takedown and Silva landing his big knees. In the 4th round, Silva opened up Hunt in a big way, but he couldn't finish him. Their final round continued with their fight grooves, and an elbow cut opened up Silva along with 3 left hooks. Silva's cut was so bad that the referee stopped the match with 3 minutes left and had a doctor look at it. After the doctor's go, Hunt landed his punches repeatedly, and Silva gave it back. The two took turns trying to finish each other late, but neither could get it done. The fight ended in a majority draw when the match went up to the judges for scoring. One judge gave 48-47 Hunt, but the other 2 scored it 47-47. Before the fight, both fighters looked confident at the level of going to war. Hunt stood with his trademark grin like he was ready to rampage, and Silva stood towering, with a quiet determination in his eyes. After the fight, Hunt and Silva looked battered and bloody. Faces looked swollen and cut. Number 4. In the first round of the fight, Couture inflicted plenty of damage through inside strikes while pressing Gonzaga against the fence. Gonzaga's nose was badly hurt, causing a lot of blood to flow down his face. Round 2 was more of the same, with Couture flawlessly executing his game plan and pushing Gonzaga to the fence to score with quick, short blows. In the 3rd round, the 2 fighters went head-to-head with strikes. Gonzaga landed a few good high kicks, but Couture quickly regained his composure and control by pushing Gonzaga against the fence. Gonzaga tried to escape by dropping to the ground, but Couture took advantage of the opportunity and stepped over him, raining down punches until the referee stopped the fight at 1:37. With this dominant TKO stoppage in the 3rd round, Couture retained his heavyweight title. After the fight, Gonzaga was clearly exhausted and had a badly broken nose, which was bleeding profusely. On the other hand, Couture appeared to have come out of the fight relatively unscathed, with only a few bruises and cuts, and was beaming with pride as he retained his heavyweight title. Number 3. Jim Miller vs. Joe Lauzon. It was a brutal co-main event in UFC 155 between Jim Miller and Joe Lauzon. The first round began with Miller going strong with a quick jab. The fighters exchanged punches with a flurry like they were on fire. The relentless Miller took Lauzon with a standing arm triangle. Both the fighters started bleeding then, but they continued to battle. By round 2, Lauzon's eye looked rough. Miller kept his offensive stance with combinations and took down Lauzon again, which made him bleed. The fight went intense, with both fighters covered in blood. In round 3, Lauzon was bleeding in both his eyes. The crowd came to life in the final minutes of this absolute bloodbath. Both the fighters were exhausted, but Miller looked less exhausted as he landed crisper punches. Lauzon managed to get a choke on Miller in the final seconds, but couldn't get it. The fighters were exhausted from the intense and close fight, with bodies covered in blood and cut on their faces. Number 2. Stefan Struve vs. Denis Stojnic, UFC 99. Stefan Struve was a towering figure in the UFC, with his 7 feet height and incredible reach to his advantage inside the octagon. But there was a problem, which was his defense against takedowns. In his fight against Stojnic at UFC 99, Stefan was brought to the ground early and spent most of the first round there. Near the end of round 1, a hard hammer fist from Stoynic opened up a huge gash on Struve's head. The bleeding continued in the second round as Stoynic continued his attack. Struve was in trouble, but soon pulled off a crazy submission hold on Stoynic. The sight of Struve squeezing on the choke as blood poured from his head went down as one of the bloodiest fights ever in UFC history. After the fight, Struve was relieved to come out on top with a victory through submission, but he also sported bruises and a bandaged head because of the nasty cut. And now to number 1, Jeremy Stephens vs. Esteban Payan, UFC 160. Jeremy Stephens fighting Esteban Payan went down as one of the most brutal fights in the annals of UFC. Payan initially started things off with a swift, low kick and a few punches. Stephens went into offense mode, and both the fighters exchanged body shots. Payan got a cut on his forehead. In the second round, Stephens went on the attack again, diving in for a takedown, raining down punches and elbows as Payan's face turned into a bloody mess. Payan defended well, but the blood began pooling in front of his eyes. Stephens dominated his position and attempted a choke, but Payan lasted till the end of that round. In round 3, a quick jab from Stephens snapped Payan's head back and opened up his cuts again. Stephens took the fight to the ground again and was in complete control, yet Payan managed to get back to his feet as a red-stained mess. Stephens stayed on to finish the fight. After the fight, Payan was covered in blood, but his immense grit made him go the distance without giving up. Despite all the damage they have taken, the resilient UFC fighters carry themselves with a certain grace and dignity, like warriors who've just come back from the front lines. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this video, so please leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Who knows, we might even feature some of your comments in our next video. Make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to get in touch with more similar videos like this. Check out our next video. You will definitely